I can remember reading stuff on the internet about me that was untrue on a national quote-unquote ministry website and maligning me and my family. And I got to tell you, it bothered me. You know, you could say what you want about me, but don't say anything about Krista. Don't say anything about my kids. It was hard. It was hard. It was not something to say, oh boy, I'm glorying in this tribulation. Thank you, Lord. No, it's hard. But it happens. It's the world that we live in. It's the world that we live in. And if you are going to stand and be a light in this world, as Jesus calls us to be, some people are going to be squinting and trying to keep the light away from them and complain about it and malign you. Jesus says, blessed are you when that happens. Doesn't mean it feels good. Doesn't mean enjoy it. But it means you're blessed if it's being maligned because of the cause of Christ. So just an encouragement. We too easily look at our lives and look for what's easy and what's going well as a sign of what God's blessing is upon us. And that if it isn't there, God's blessing isn't. And that just simply isn't true. Read the book of Job. Job's three comforters believed exactly what I just said. And so when they saw that Job's life was a mess, they said, Job, we're here because we love you. We're your friends. They sat with him for a week and said nothing. That's, sometimes that's the best ministry we can have for someone who's in trouble and suffering, is just to be there, to be next to them, to listen, not speak at all. But then once they started speaking, the ministry fell apart. Because they started saying, you obviously, since your life is such a mess, you obviously have some hidden sin, and we're here to encourage you to confess it. And Job kept saying, but I don't. Because it had nothing to do with Job's sin or Job's chastisement, though he certainly learned. When you read the last few chapters of Job, he learned through his suffering, as we all do. But it's not the gauge of God's blessing. On the flip side of that, suffering is not the gauge of God's blessing either. There was a whole movement within the church, within the medieval times, to seek discomfort and seek suffering as a sign of being purged. That's just flat out weird and demented. Look for God's Spirit. Look for God's Spirit.